We are going to be taking a look at a few things in this video for our last assignment as kind of picking up commands that I think are important for you to know as we move forward. But I am with you if you need anything else. There are other videos on my YouTube channel and listed in the file that I posted. Okay, so if you go to the View tab and you click on Section, you can pick 2 points to create a building section through your project. So you can pick left to right, right to left. It will determine the the direction of that section. But once you have it placed, you know that the arrow is the direction that it's looking in, and so you can use these double arrows to kind of flip it. You can use this to crop it. You've got a lot of other things that you can do with this section as far as how to see these different tags at the ends of it. But now that we've created a section, and I'm going to go ahead and click in space, you'll see it over here in your project browser. You can look for it, double click on it, and there's your section. It will be a building section, but this is also what you can use to create wall sections as well. To create a very quick basement, we can go to one of the elevations here and create another level. So we're always thinking about how we're going to create another level. If we needed to have a second floor, we'd have to create another level. If we needed a dormer that was up and started around right here, we'd probably use another level. So I'm going to go ahead in the Architecture tab and click on Level. And then I'm just going to randomly make this 8 feet down here as the basement floor level. And then I can escape out of that and go, and I'm just going to go ahead and at this point call it basement. All right. So now that I have that, and you can work with the numbers if you need to get it more specific for that foundation wall. I can go back over to, if I went to the basement plan right now, which should be a new, now usually when you create a new level, it asks you if you want to create a corresponding view for it, but this time it didn't for some reason, which it should and it probably will for you. And when you pick yes, it's going to show you that there's a basement here. But in my case, it didn't. And in case this happens to you, you can go to the View tab and go under View Plans. And then here's your floor plan. So go under View Plans and Floor Plans in case you didn't get that basement, and there it is. So now I have to pick OK, and it creates it, and it brings me to it, which doesn't make sense, but it would normally create one for you. So now I'm in the basement plan, but I can't see my first floor. So you probably saw this in other videos. We're going to go to underlay. The underlay and properties will let me pick something like first floor and see the different levels. If you play around with these underlay settings and look up and look down, you think about you're in the basement, so you want to look up. So looking up, now I can see my walls, and that makes it a little bit easier for me to work with as I'm moving forward. I'm going to I know you might want to keep this section in here because it goes all the way through, but just in this view, you can select the section, right click, and go to Hide in View category. So each view is independent with that because see when I'm back over, and let's go over to the first floor plan, see how that's still there. So in the first floor plan, we need to be able to see the basement. And I'm going to change the underlay to basement and pick apply. You can't really see anything right now, but when you place your wall for your basement, you're going to need to be able to see it. And we're going to use the outside wall to create that foundation. So we'll go to wall, and they do have here a basic not the retaining wall, but we're looking for the foundation wall. Now, if you needed to change the thickness of that, because 12 inch is pretty thick, you would then go back to some of those things that we learned in this class to pick the edit type button, duplicate it, make your own, pick the edit button and change the thickness. So I just wanted to show you that. We're not going to change it here. So I'm going to change at the top left this to basement. So now it's going to be attached to the basement. And you can even look at that in the properties. See how it's the base constraint is basement and the top constraint is the first floor. So it's going from one to another. But I wanted to show you that when you pick here, you see how by default it's going along the center line, the wall center line. So when I change my location line to the finish face exterior right here in this drop down, and I click a point, you see how it's doing the finished face exterior. So that means I have to go from left to right, because if I go from right to left, see what it does? It goes along the bottom side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by clicking here at the top left corner, and I know it's underneath. You see it's underneath and it's going by the exterior part of it. I'm going to just kind of like walk all around here, clicking the different corners. And if you have a really large plan, it's okay with me. If you just do a small portion of it, little Michigan basement, that's fine. Now that I drew all of those, you can't really see them, but it won't give you a default because we changed the overlay so that we're looking down to the basement. I am going to now show you this in the 3D view. In the 3D view, we can turn off the solar panels that we had in the shadows. And actually, I'm going to temporarily click on the site, right click, and hide in view category. These are all going into that dialog box that is VG, typing in VG. So there it is. There's my foundation. Now, once I have that here, there's my foundation wall. I can go over to the structure tab, and you'll see all these different cool things that you can use in the structure tab. Well, the one we're looking for is under foundation, and it's called wall. But if you see that little blue image, it's really the footing, the footing, that continuous footing that we want around the basement. Sometimes instead of using a trench footing, we're going to click on that. And then really it shows you the size of it over here. Again, you can change the size by picking edit type, duplicate, and do your own size. I'm just going to click on each one of these little wall segments. And you see what it's doing? It's automatically creating a little foundation footing for all of those. It's kind of cool. There it is. So now we have we have a foundation wall and we have a footing. Now we need a basement floor. So let's go over to basement, and we have our walls. So now we can go back to architecture and use the floor tool here to create a floor. Now we know that basement floor slabs are on the on grade because they're basement, not crawl space, are going to be a lot smaller, like 4 inches. So I'm going to do this so you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and pick the edit type button. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to say 4-inch basement floor. There it is. And I'm going to pick the edit button right there and change this thickness to 4. And make sure you put the inches or else it's going to be feet, right? So 4 inches, and pick OK. And then I'm going to pick OK again. I'm still in the sketch mode. In the sketch mode, you have all these different ways of drawing your floor. But the pick walls is pretty cool, because when you pick the wall, as long as you pick the wall on the inside there, you know that it's going to automatically create this purple line that represents the basement. Now, I do believe we're going to have to push this up a little because it's going to draw it and put it down from the basement floor. So I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to click on the green check mark. We can go back over to the section even and open up that section a little bit more by clicking on the box and then dragging this down. And you see what it did? It put my basement floor 4 inches down into the footing right there. So what I need to do is to go back to the basement plan, or actually, I think I could just do it right here. Yeah, I just in the foundation in the section. There's so many different ways of working with this program. I love it. In the wall, the building section, I can click on the floor right there, and over here in properties, height from height offset from level. We need to go up 4 inches. So 4 inches, and if you pick apply, there it is. So what do we have? We have a foundation, wall, footing, and a basement slab. And so that kind of rounds out being able to draw here your basement. Okay, so now that we have a basement, we can go over to our basement plan and draw stairs. In order to do that, we need to see where the walls are up on the first floor. So we can use underlay like we have been, but uh, if we go range base is basement, right? So we're gonna base is the basement, and then the top level is unbounded. That means it just keeps going, and you're looking down. Then you'll see the roof. And honestly, this is the first time that I've had to turn off the roof in this view in order to see the walls. But like I said, I have tried every combination here, but with this newer release, it looks like even though I have the base level as basement, you would think that I could usually put first floor plan and pick apply, and then you would see the walls. But you see, I only see my table, which I've gone over and over in this, but I really still can't see my walls. I even looked at it in 3D and transparency and selected it. So what works for me, because if you see, if you might go to range base level basement and uh, range top level first floor and then look up and you might, you might see it. But what worked for me is to make it start at the basement and go unbounded all the way up to the top floor. And I'm going to then look down from up above and see this. So I'm seeing trees and everything else. But now I can type in VG and scroll down. There's always a way to figure this out. And take the check mark out of roofs and pick apply. This is how I was able to get to it. I turned off the roof. I could type in VG here and get some of these other things like the plants, which would be like the trees right here, planting. If I pick apply, you see the trees went away. And I believe even here the topo solid right there, if we want to turn that off, you see I just like cleaned it all up by changing the visibility of those things by unchecking them only in this view, which is the basement view. So now the basement view is looking up and seeing the first floor by using those settings. Okay, so you may have to play around with that a little bit. I'm going to then, when I'm done, and I really only want the basement plan, I'm going to change the underlay so that I don't see the first floors. But I wanted the first floor so that I could put stairs in here. So now I can pick on stair. And as long as I watch over here in properties, my base level is the basement and my top level is the first floor. Now, I just want to show you stairs out here in space so that you can know. Uh, the the a quick way to create one straight rung is to click a point, and when you pull your mouse past this top stair right there, you would then click and have the whole stair. But if you want, and I'm just going to go back to straight, I'm just going to show you this out in space. If I click a point and I just go like halfway, because it will automatically tell you how many risers and treads, and click, and then, well, it just doesn't, okay, it doesn't want me to have two of them. So I just deleted them so I could show you. I'm going to go back to straight. So if I click a point, I come up about halfway and click. You can come over to where you want your stairs to restart and click, and then pull your mouse past that last step and click, and it'll automatically create a landing for you. This is how you are able to kind of like turn it. The other choice, because we're just going to do a straight stair, is to sketch a stair. So I just want to talk to you about this one. If you sketch a stair, then you have a boundary, which is the green line. So you're drawing the boundary, which is those green lines. You're going to draw individually each tread, and then you're going to draw the stair path, and it will ask you for those three things. So there is a way to customize your stairs as well, but then it's not figuring out exactly how many treads you're going from the basement to the first floor, because you're actually like drawing them. So you'd have to draw as many as is needed. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to what we were doing at the beginning here. When you first start the stair, I want a straight stair right here. And I'm just going to come along this wall right here. I'm going to pick a point, pull my mouse up, and click. Now you see I just want a little bit of space here for landing. In fact, I could use my arrow keys to get it up here closer to the wall and bring it down, making sure that I have enough for the landing, and then I can pick the green check mark. And when you do that, it'll automatically give you the line quality for going up, and then the break with the dash line. So if you want to take a look at how your stairs look in section, then the first thing we want to do is make sure our sections are on, because I believe that we already turned those off, and you might want to go back to the first floor plan to put those on. So, but I mean, you could do it here, but I like to put my sections in my first floor plan. So if you go back to the first floor plan and type in VG, let's make sure that they're on. You have to go to the annotation category tab. I think it's good to know this because you may start turning off the visibility of things. The model things are going to be in the model tab, the annotation here under the annotation categories, and here is section. I'm going to put the check mark back in and pick OK, and now I have way too many sections here. So I'm going to delete one of them, and that's okay. So, in fact, I'll delete this one too, because we'll do it together. All right. So when you draw a section, you can decide on which side to put the head, and which for the tail, for which way the numbers go. So on the View tab, go to Section. See, now if I click here and I bring my mouse down, you see how it's facing to the left? But I'm just going to go ahead and click, because I'm going to be able to click on these arrows right here to switch the view to look towards my stair. And now I have another section to work with. And I like to use sections to look through the building. If you double click, there's your stair. So technically we went from the basement up to the first floor. So I just realized that we have 4 inches of the slab that goes up from the basement. All these little details, right? So I'm going to click on the stairs in section. And over here in properties, for the base offset, I'm going to include this 4 inches for the offset. You see how it's right on it, but then it kind of scooches it up and figures out how many treads and risers that you need automatically now with that base offset. Now I feel better because it's going from the basement floor up to the first floor. Okay, so now we need to cut a hole through our floor on the first floor. So let's go over to the first floor. You see how the floor is kind of like covering the stair. So there are a couple different ways of selecting the floor once you have a lot going on. Anytime that you want to select something that's on top of each other, you can put your pointer right there between the floor and the wall. Press and let go of your tab key, and then press and let go of your tab key until you see the floor and then click. That's one way of selecting the floor. Another way, I'll just click off of that, is to select everything. So I'm going to hold my left mouse button down and drag it across everything and pick that filter icon right there at the top. It looks like a funnel. Uncheck or check none, it says. And then just check the floors and pick apply and OK. And that will help you to kind of select just that one object. Now that I have the floor selected, I can pick edit boundary. And now the purple line is my outside, but I just need to create a hole here. So I'm going to use the draw panel. I'll just use a rectangle. And just to make it quicker here, I'm just going to create a rectangle that goes around my whole stair right there. Now, technically, I didn't need that because the headroom, the headspace, I could, because you're going down at some point right here, you can gain more floor because you'll have the headroom depending on the ceiling height and all of that. So I just put a box around the stair to create my opening. I'll just go ahead and pick the green check mark. It's asking if you want to attach the floor. Usually we want to pick attach, yes. And so now we have a hole in our floor for the stairs. Now, because we have a hole in the stairs, we will need to put a railing. So if you think about it, I'm going to click off this. There's a hole in the floor and you're coming down here, but like you've got the wall over here, but you need a railing that goes here and here. So I'm going to go over to Architecture tab and click on Railing. For railing, you have all these different ways of drawing a railing, but the default is to draw a line. Now, if I don't have a check mark in chain up here, then I'm just going to be able to draw one at a time. So when you're drawing a railing, put the check mark in chain. And now I'm going to click here and here. Now see, if I didn't have the chain checked, it would just end the command and I'd have to start it again. So, but because I have chain checked, I'm going to go ahead and pull it right over here. Got it, a little L shape there. I use this button right there to cancel out or use the escape key several times. When you draw railings, just so you know, it has to be one continuous here line. I couldn't like draw a railing here and then draw a separate one over here someplace. You just have to go back to it. Let's go ahead and pick the green check mark. And there's my railing. I can go back over to my section and take a look. Yeah, it's looking good. Now I've got my basement, I've got my stair and my little railing that's going across. If you go to the 3D view, I changed the transparency. So down here, instead of using realistic, I went back to hidden line, and then I went up to graphic display options. I think I showed you this before, but here's your transparency if you want to kind of like look through your building, and so I can kind of visually look, through the building to see that I have the stairs coming up with the railing. Cool. Okay, there are two other things that I'd like to show you in this kind of final project. We're going to go to the first floor plan and take a look at how we're going to create just a basic door schedule, and then you'll know how to create a room finish schedule and a window schedule, and any other schedules are quite a few. And if you'd like a little more help with that, you can create cost estimating tools using formulas within the cells. And some of those videos are on YouTube, my YouTube channel, if you'd like, or just contact me. Okay, So the first thing we need to do is to establish tags, which is like establishing a annotation on your doors or your windows. So you can tag here by category, or you can tag all. But we're going to tag by category because we want to. We're going to tag all so that we can put a check mark in door tags and pick apply, and you see it'll automatically put tags on those doors. But you could have did it by category. You just clicked on each one. So what happens here when you tag by all, and tag all the doors, you'll have this 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can click on these to move them out of the way. So you got that. You get a little thing there. You can drag it up a little bit there. You see what I mean? Like this is kind of in the way, so you have to be able to get to it and then just kind of like pull it out wherever you want to put it. Right now the default is that it's a kind of like an ellipse, but that's a family, so you can change that as well. So you've got all these tags that are on the doors, and like I said, you could do windows as well with this, and I'm just going to move them all over. Okay, now we want to create a schedule. We can go to view, the view tab. So I went to annotate tab in order to pick tag all and click on door, and then create all those tags. And now I'm going to go to the view tab up here and pick schedule, and then you have all these other schedules that you can do, a material takeoff, quite a few. But the top one there is the main one, schedule / quantities. And so you have all these different types of schedules that you can, create. And what we're wanting is the door schedule. So under category, click on doors and door schedules, and then pick OK. So this is where you decide on what you want to use for your columns. And this is customizable also, but we're going to use some of the defaults. And if you look at a door schedule, one of the first things that we see is the mark, which is the number right there. So I'm going to highlight mark, and then I'm going to click this green arrow to bring it from the available fields to the schedule fields. And that's going to be our first column. Now, I'm going to throw a bunch of these in here so that you can decide on which one when you're making one for yourself. The family is going to give you the type of door, like bifold or that. And then the family and type is going to give you a column that has the type of door plus the size of it. And so the other option is to use individually the width, the height, and the thickness, because you have all of those here, but they become then individual columns. So it really depends on what you need. So why don't we just use family and type to make it basic? That's going to give you the size. So click on family and type and the type and pick the green arrow. But we'll still need to have the thickness. So come down here and click on thickness and pick on the green arrow. So we have mark, we have family and type, and we have thickness. Now there are so many other things that we can get out of here, but we'll keep this basic, and I'll go ahead and pick comments because I usually have a column at the end that says remarks or comments, and I'll go ahead and pick the green check mark. And these are some of the formulas that we can use for the cells. If you wanted to calculate cost estimating, there are formulas for that as well. These tabs here can be changed afterwards and how the schedule looks. Let's go ahead and pick OK. What we have is mark, family and type, thickness, and comments. Let's go ahead and pick OK. And there's our small schedule. The thing about it is that now in properties, we have all these things that we can change. So you see how the mark is justified to the left and the thicknesses as well. So let's go over here and pick the fields edit so I can show you this dialog box again. But over here under formatting, we can highlight mark and then change here the alignment right there to center. And I think we wanted to do that with thickness as well. So highlight thickness and change the alignment to center. Just a couple of things there, but you can see that a lot of other things are here that you can change, like the appearance of some of the lines and the formatting. So let's go ahead and pick OK. And you see how it kind of like centers it. And each one of these is a column that I can just kind of like make a little bit bigger here. I'm holding my left mouse button down on the line between, B and C, so I can kind of like see the whole thing. We won't need to do that because once we drag it into our sheet, it's going to be okay. So, like I said, there's a lot more to it, but this is like to show you how to create a basic door schedule. Now, to wrap that up, you can go over to one of your sheets. We can put it on the first floor plan if you'd like. We can double click over here on your first floor plan, and there is your floor plan that we put on the sheet, right? And so now we want to drag that door schedule over onto our sheet, and there it is. So I'm in my sheet. I'm going to hold the door schedule down in the project browser and pull it over here. And there it is. It's a little bit big. I'm going to have to move my floor plan over. So I'll just go ahead and drop it there. And now I'm going to click off and click on my floor plan and drag that over. Oh, that's right. We had this huge one because now our elevation markers are back on. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that over here a little bit out of the way. And then I need to drag the title somewhere else, maybe over here. Okay. Now you're going to need to turn these elevation markers off in order to have a clear sheet. Double click inside the sheet and click on one of these elevation markers, right click, go to hide and view category. Yours may already have been off. I think I had to turn mine on to work with something else with the student. Let's double click out in space. You'll get a little bit used to this idea of dragging views over onto your sheet. That's the most that I'm asking for your experiences with the schedule, and if you need anything else, you can let me know. So the last thing that I'd like to talk to you about is to be able to change some of the line weight. And so since you're here and you're getting all this ready for your portfolio, that last project, we want to clean this up a little. We can double click here to go inside this view, click on your section and just drag this head down just a little bit so it's on the sheet. You can see that little blue ball there. It just depends on your project as well. Mine just went outside of the sheet, and now I can double click outside of the sheet to get back into my drawing. And so this is going to be one of your screenshots for your portfolio that you're going to be putting together of all the work for this course. So let's go to the one of your elevations. I'm going just randomly to the east elevation. I can see that I have it in this hidden view down here at the bottom left, hidden line view. And I probably don't want to show my whole grading on the elevation. here, although sometimes we do. I'm just showing you some of the graphics that we can work with. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to right click and go to hide and view category. And now if you want to keep your trees, I suppose you can as well. What I want to show you here is, well, there are a couple things. So the first thing is, what if we want the foundation line work to be hidden? So if you go to the Modify tab, underneath the View, Modify tab, there's a, a view like panel, and this is called Line Work, or you could type in LW. When you click on Line Work, you can change your line type to what you want it to look like. And this is only going to change how it looks in this view. It won't change the 3D model. So I'm going to click on Hidden Lines, and then I can click on these foundation, or wait, Hidden Lines, and click on these foundation lines so that they are hidden. See how it's making these foundation lines hidden, although there are more lines that are behind it. So in some cases it's going to make it hidden, in some cases it's not. You have to like keep clicking on it so you can get all the lines that are within there, or you can actually remove it and then make it hidden. But you see how if I keep clicking, I'm getting all the lines. See that? All the lines that are within that foundation. And now it's more realistic as a hidden line underneath the ground. And then the other thing too is line weight. So line weight, you can change your line weight like this to be able to adjust how things look. And then also I'm going to use my escape key to get out of that, or pick the modify button there. Let's go to annotate. I'm going to show you in this view that you have all of these details that you can work with. So if you decided to create a wall section and you wanted to actually draw the insulation, you can draw it right inside the wall. So you cut a wall section and then enlarge the scale of it, and draw the insulation and use properties to change the width of that insulation. We also have components that we can draw, and those components would be loaded like the wood for the top plates and the bottom plates. I'll post a video for that you can look at if you're interested in that. But what I want to really show you is, well, one more thing is detail line. So in the architecture tab, we have model line. A model line is going to be a line that shows, like a regular drafting line that shows in all views because you're drawing it in the model. But if you're over in annotate, a detail line is a line that's just going to show in this view. So if those foundations, like for example, weren't working out, I could go to modify and pick line work and just make these all invisible lines and then redraw it. It's not something we want to, make a habit of, but over in annotate, we do have detail lines, and that will give you more control over how your image looks because you're really just drawing on this view, adding to the 3D model. So the part that I wanted to show you is region. Region over here in the annotate tab is like a hatch pattern. So I'm going to pick filled region, and now we're drawing the boundary for our hatch and on a rectangle. And I'm going to use this rectangle to create the ground. So I'm going to click a point, pull my mouse across. It's like that grade or that ground that the uh, the building sitting on. And then over here in properties, you decide on what kind of like hatch. It's like the hatch command in AutoCAD. So I want solid black right there. That's going to be inside it. Unfortunately, you don't see it until you have pick the green check mark. And now I'm going to click off it so you can see it. So I created here a region, filled region that had a boundary and that I could fill with the hatch pattern. If you take a look at the little video there, what they did was in a detail, you can create the boundary and then get like that earth hatch in there for your foundation details. I mean, this is where you're starting to get very detailed and bringing in your anchor bolts and your 2x4s and all of the materials that are components that you would load and then create that detail. So I just wanted to show you this is like the hatch and also that you could change your line weights. And so this is kind of one way to create a nice way to show your elevations.